For months, maybe even years, fans have been waiting for this very moment, the day Yaman would finally break his silence. For too long, questions have floated through social media, gossip magazines, and late-night conversations among fans across Turkey, Italy, Spain, Germany, and beyond. Where does he stand? What is really going on behind the polished facade of fame, behind the glowing lights of red carpets and flashing cameras? And then, unexpectedly, in a single interview, Yaman delivered the words that no one could have seen coming. Words that shook not only his most loyal admirers, but also the media industry itself. It all began innocently enough. The setting was a familiar one, bright lights, a host smiling politely, and the promise of yet another promotional interview about his projects. Fans thought they knew what to expect, stories about his upcoming roles, anecdotes from life in Italy, reflections on the glamour that surrounds him. But this time, something was different. His body language carried the weight of a man who had been holding something inside for far too long. And when the questions turned personal, the carefully built walls around his heart began to crack. The host asked the kind of question that usually earns a polished, safe answer: how do you deal with everything, success, fame, expectations? Normally, Ken might have smiled, given a rehearsed line about discipline and focus. But instead, he paused. His jaw tightened, his eyes grew distant, and then he said it: I've stayed silent for so long, maybe too long. People think they know me, but they don't know half of the truth. And it's time they do. Those words alone were enough to send a shiver through the room. The audience in the studio leaned forward. The host, sensing something unusual, didn't dare interrupt. And fans watching from home held their breath, glued to the screen. What was he about to reveal? Was this about his career, his personal life, or the whispers that had haunted him for years? What came next was a confession no one could have scripted. Yaman admitted that the silence had been eating away at him. I let people write my story for me, he said. They created headlines, they invented rumors, and I stayed quiet because I thought it was better that way. But my silence gave them power. And the truth is, I was breaking inside. His voice cracked ever so slightly, and for once, the man known for his strength and confidence seemed achingly human. The revelation touched on everything: his struggles with fame, the price of being constantly in the spotlight, and the emotional battles he fought behind closed doors. He spoke of betrayal, of trust broken by those he thought were friends. He spoke of love lost and of the emptiness that came with pretending to be untouchable. And though he never named names directly, every word seemed heavy with meaning, every sentence leaving fans wondering who and what he was referring to. Social media erupted like wildfire. Within minutes, clips of his words were trending worldwide. Fans analyzed every second, every gesture, every tone of his voice. Was he speaking about Demet? Was this about Sarah? Was it about the endless headlines linking him to women he never even spoke to? Or was it about the pressure from producers, networks, and the media machine that always demanded more from him? Whatever the answer, one thing was certain: Yaman had spoken from the heart, and nothing would ever be the same again. But what made this moment so powerful wasn't just the content of his words, it was the vulnerability. For years, Ken had been painted as larger than life, the heartthrob, the playboy, the untouchable star. Yet here he was, admitting pain, admitting weakness, admitting that silence had hurt him more than the gossip ever could. I was afraid, he confessed. Afraid that if I told the truth, people wouldn't understand. Afraid that being honest would destroy everything I built. But I can't carry that fear anymore. The truth has to be stronger than the lies. These words resonated far beyond the fan community. They became headlines in mainstream outlets. Reporters who once criticized him suddenly applauded his courage. Fans who had doubted him now defended him passionately. Even celebrities and fellow actors posted messages of support, praising his honesty. It was as if Yaman had, with a single confession, turned the entire narrative upside down. And yet, as always, the silence of others only fueled the mystery. Demet Özdemir, whose name is forever tied to his in the hearts of fans, did not comment. She posted a single photo of herself, serene and quiet, as the storm raged online. Sarah Bluma, often dragged into his story without her consent, posted a cryptic line about truth finding its way. Each gesture only deepened the intrigue, making Can's confession even more explosive. For the fans, though, the meaning was clear. This wasn't just about gossip or romance. This was about a man reclaiming his voice. A man saying, "Enough is enough." A man stepping out from behind the walls of silence to face the world as he truly is. And in doing so, he gave his fans a gift they had been waiting for all along: authenticity. As one fan put it perfectly in a viral tweet, Can didn't just break his silence, he broke his chains. That single line captured the spirit of the moment. The actor who had been trapped by his own image finally set himself free. And in his freedom, fans found hope, inspiration, and a renewed love for the man they had supported all these years. The story doesn't end here. If anything, it's only beginning. Because now, with the silence broken, every future step he takes will be under even closer scrutiny. What will he reveal next? Will he address the questions fans are dying to know the answers to, about Demet, about their past, about the truth behind the rumors? Or will this remain the one moment of honesty, a single confession never to be expanded upon? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, Yaman has reminded the world why he became more than just an actor. He became a symbol. A symbol of resilience, of vulnerability, of the courage to speak when silence is no longer an option. And for his fans, this moment, this shocking reveal, will live on forever as the day their idol finally showed them the man behind the legend. What made Can's confession even more unforgettable was not just what he said, but how he said it. His voice trembled, and though he tried to remain composed, the emotion in his eyes betrayed him. This wasn't the smooth, charming Yaman that the world had grown used to. This was a man stripped bare of the layers of confidence and bravado, exposing the fragile heart underneath. And that is precisely why his words spread like wildfire. People saw themselves in his pain. In many ways, Can's silence had become its own prison. For years, every rumor was magnified, every whisper turned into a headline. Yet he never fought back. Fans often wondered why he never defended himself, why he let stories spiral out of control. Now, at last, they had their answer. "I thought if I ignored the noise, it would go away," he said during the interview. But silence doesn't make the lies disappear. It gives them room to grow. That single sentence was like a mirror held up to the entertainment industry, exposing how gossip thrives when truth is absent. And then, without naming names, he spoke of relationships that had left scars. He admitted that love, in his world, was far from easy. "When people are watching every move you make, it's hard to know who is real and who isn't," he explained. "I've lost people I cared about because of this. I've hurt, and I've been hurt. And sometimes, the ones you love the most are the ones you lose the fastest." His words seemed to hang in the air, heavy with unspoken history. Fans could not help but think of Demet, her quiet strength, her sudden distance, the way her life had moved in a different direction. Social media immediately latched onto this part of his confession. Clips titled, "He's Talking About Demet," flooded TikTok. Edits with their most romantic or Kenzie cuss moments were paired with his words. "The ones you love the most are the ones you lose the fastest." For the Demet fanbase, it was the closest thing to closure, or perhaps, the start of something new. Meanwhile, Italian media focused on a different angle. They highlighted his admission of loneliness, of struggling with fame despite living in one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Headlines read, "Yaman, alone in Rome?" For them, the story wasn't just about romance but about the cost of international stardom. They painted him as a man adored by millions but understood by few. And in that framing, he became almost mythical, a tragic hero whose crown weighed heavier than anyone imagined. But even amidst the frenzy, Can's fans rallied around him. They flooded his social media with messages of love and support. "We hear you. You're not alone anymore. Thank you for trusting us with your truth." This wave of positivity was unlike anything seen before. Normally, celebrity confessions spark division, some believe, some criticize. But with Can, the reaction was overwhelmingly empathetic. Perhaps because everyone could see the sincerity in his eyes. Behind the scenes, though, insiders suggested this moment was not spontaneous. Some claimed Can had been preparing to speak for months, that he had grown tired of carrying the burden alone. Others argued it was triggered by something recent, a betrayal, a personal loss, or even a reminder of the love he could never truly forget. Whatever the cause, one thing is clear: when he spoke, it was from the deepest part of his soul. As the dust began to settle, journalists called it a turning point. Analysts predicted it could reshape his career entirely. Instead of just being the handsome face of Turkish television conquering Italy, Yaman was now a man with a story, messy, complicated, and real. And in today's world, authenticity is worth more than perfection. Perhaps the most powerful part of his reveal came at the very end. Looking directly into the camera, his voice steadier now, he said, "If there's one thing I've learned, it's that silence doesn't protect you. Love, truth, pain, they all demand to be felt, to be spoken. I won't hide anymore." That line alone could have been the final scene of a movie. It was raw, unpolished, and unforgettable. And maybe that's why no one expected it, because stars aren't supposed to speak like this. They're supposed to maintain the illusion, to guard their hearts behind carefully crafted words. But Yaman broke the script. He reminded the world that behind the fame is a man who bleeds, who cries, who loses, who regrets, and who still dares to hope.